The human stood at the edge of the clearing, arms crossed, watching the tree line with the patience of a man who had long since stopped running. Behind him, 9 cairns rose from the forest floor, each one precisely constructed, each one marking a failure. The morning mist clung to the ground like a shroud, and somewhere in the distance, a branch snapped. She was coming. Marcus had known she would arrive today. He had counted the cycles, measured the intervals, understood the rhythm of her hunt. 15 years of pursuit had taught him to think like his hunter, to anticipate her movements as though they were his own. The Vel were nothing if not methodical. The figure that emerged from the fog was tall and angular, her armor the color of deep space, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Her face was humanoid enough to unsettle, alien enough to remind him she was not. 3 eyes tracked him with predatory focus, and her hands rested on the twin blades at her hips. Weapons that had ended countless lives across countless worlds. "Human," she said, her voice like gravel scraped across metal. "Your flight ends here." Marcus smiled, though there was no warmth in it. "Right on schedule, Vera. You're usually punctual, but this time you're perfect. 15 years, 2 months, and 3 days since you started hunting me." The Huntress tilted her head, a gesture he had learned meant confusion among her kind. "You know my name. I know a lot about you. I know you've been tracking me since the colony on Threshold fell. I know you're the best hunter the Vel Empire has ever produced. I know you've killed 417 beings in your career." He paused. "And I know you've never failed a hunt. Until now." Vera's hand moved fractionally closer to her blade. Bold words for prey. "Walk with me," Marcus said, turning his back on her. It was a calculated risk, but he had not survived this long by playing it safe. "Let me show you something." The Huntress hesitated. In 15 years, the human had never stopped, never turned to face her, never spoken more than a handful of words when their paths crossed. This was different. This was wrong. But curiosity was the hook that caught even the most careful predator. She followed. Marcus led her to the first cairn. The stones were weathered, moss growing in the crevices. This one was named Krell, came for me 7 years ago. Mandalorian hunter, best in 3 sectors. He tracked me to the ice world of Fenrir. Thought the cold would slow me down. Marcus ran his hand over the stones. It didn't. He got cocky, got close. The ice gave way beneath him. Took him 3 hours to freeze to death in that crevasse. I listened to every minute of it. Vera said nothing, but her eyes narrowed. They moved to the second cairn. This was Thorn, cyborg assassin. More machine than organic. Followed me for 2 years before I led him into an electromagnetic storm on Pulse. His systems fried. He was paralyzed but conscious when the scavengers found him. Cairn after cairn, Marcus recited the names, the methods, the failures. Each hunter had been legendary in their own right. Each had been reduced to stones and soil. You see, Vera, you all made the same mistake. You thought you were hunting an animal, something that runs on instinct, on fear. You thought if you were patient enough, skilled enough, relentless enough, eventually I would tire. Eventually I would slip. He stopped at the 9th cairn, the newest. The stones were still clean, barely settled. This was Razor. Came for me 4 months ago. He almost had me. Got within 10 meters on the jungle world of Verdant. But he didn't account for the human capacity for spite, for the willingness to burn everything down rather than be taken. Marcus turned to face her fully now. Do you know what humanity's greatest strength is, Vera? It's not our technology. It's not our adaptability, though those help. It's our memory. Our ability to hold a grudge across decades, across lifetimes. Our willingness to suffer if it means making our enemies suffer more. The Huntress drew one of her blades, the metal singing as it left its sheath. "Enough talk, human. You die now." "No," Marcus said softly. "You do." The ground beneath Vera erupted. He had spent 3 years preparing this clearing. 3 years studying Vel physiology, learning their weaknesses. 3 years building the perfect trap. The spikes that burst from the soil were tipped with a toxin synthesized from 12 different worlds, each component chosen specifically to target Vel neural systems. But Vera was fast. Impossibly fast. She twisted in midair, her blade deflecting 2 spikes, her armor absorbing a third. She landed in a crouch, eyes blazing with fury. "Clever," she hissed, but not clever enough. Marcus was already moving. He had known she would dodge the initial strike, had planned for it. The second trap triggered as she landed, neural disruptors hidden in the cairns themselves activating in sequence. The Vel warrior stumbled, her coordination disrupted, one eye flickering closed. 15 years, Marcus said, circling her. 15 years you hunted me. Do you know what I was doing that whole time? I was studying, learning. Every hunter you sent taught me something new. Every near miss made me sharper. Vera lunged, blade cutting through the space where he had been standing. She was wounded, disoriented, but still deadly. The blade scored across his shoulder, drawing blood. Pain flared, but Marcus had learned to embrace pain, to use it. He triggered the third trap. Monomolecular wire, invisible to the naked eye, strung between the trees at precise heights. Vera's charge carried her directly into the web. The wires sliced through her armor, through flesh, stopping only when they hit bone. The Huntress fell to her knees, purple blood streaming from a dozen wounds. Her blades clattered to the ground. Marcus approached slowly, a device in his hand. It was crude, built from scavenged parts and desperation, but it would serve. The Vel Empire sent you to kill me because I survived when my colony didn't. Because I saw what you did there. The children, the civilians, the unarmed. You slaughtered them all. War, Vera gasped, her voice weakening. Necessary. Maybe, Marcus acknowledged. But then you made it personal. You hunted me specifically because I escaped. Because I witnessed. Because I refused to die quietly. He activated the device, and a recording began to play. Screams, weapons fire. The sounds of Threshold's last hours. I've broadcast this to every corner of known space. Every network, every data hub. The Vel Empire's brutality, documented and undeniable. Your empire wanted me dead to keep their secret. He knelt beside her, meeting her fading eyes. But you took too long. And now the whole galaxy knows. Vera tried to speak, but no words came. Her breathing grew shallow. Marcus stood, looking down at the dying Huntress. You were good, Vera. The best they had. But you were hunting the wrong kind of prey. Humans don't just run. We learn. We adapt. We wait. He paused. And we remember everything. The Huntress took one final breath and was still. Marcus began gathering stones for the 10th cairn. His hands worked automatically, muscle memory from too many burials. When it was complete, he stood back, surveying his work. 10 cairns now. 10 hunters who had underestimated what humanity could endure. He pulled out a small communicator, one he had kept silent for 15 years. With steady fingers, he activated it and spoke a single word into the void. Ready? Across the galaxy, hidden on a dozen worlds, other survivors of Threshold received the message. The witnesses who had scattered, who had hidden, who had waited just as he had. The Vel Empire had thought silencing them would be simple, had thought sending hunters was enough. They had been wrong. Marcus looked up at the sky, where somewhere beyond the clouds, beyond the atmosphere, the Vel fleet orbited. They would come for him now, he knew. Not a single hunter, but armies. They would burn this world to ash to silence what he had revealed. Let them come. He had spent 15 years running, learning, surviving. He had paid for his revenge in blood, and time, and the peace of his humanity. He had sacrificed to become something harder than human. Something that could kill the unkillable. The message would spread. The truth would spread. And humanity, scattered across 1,000 worlds, would remember what the Vel had done. Marcus walked away from the cairns, from the clearing, from the body of the greatest hunter the Empire had ever known. He did not look back. There was work yet to be done, and the war he had started with a single broadcast would need soldiers. The Vel had taught him to be prey. He would teach them what it meant when prey evolved into predator. Behind him, the 10th cairn stood silent watch over the forest, a monument to the arrogance of believing humanity could be hunted into extinction. The morning mist began to lift, and somewhere in the distance, ships descended through the atmosphere. Marcus smiled and disappeared into the trees. The real hunt was just beginning. Claude is an AI and can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.